Hi everyone and welcome to this interview. I'm your host, Sunny Gigi, and it's my pleasure to introduce today's guest. Today we have Nate, being tempted by the evil inclination growing up, surrounded by secular influences. Unfortunately, Nate soon finds himself off the path, where then Rabbi Reuven steps in to save another Jewish soul. We're very excited to have him here with us today to share his journey and experience. So without further ado, let's get into it. We have Nate with us today. He's been following Rabbi Reuven for many years now. He's a Baal Shabbat. He's 35, living in Los Angeles. And Nate, first of all, thank you very much for taking the time and are willing to share your story with us and other people.
Of course, my pleasure.
Nate, if you don't mind, can you tell us a little more about your life prior to doing Tshuva, some history, your upbringing, just a little more about yourself?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So, I was actually raised in a modern Orthodox family. I went to Jewish school most of my life through like preschool, kindergarten, and middle school. And up to high school, ninth grade, I was actually in Jewish school. I don't know, for some odd reason, my parents decided to send me to public school for 3 years. I had maybe that issue with the principal or school, I don't know. So I went to public school for 3 years, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. And then little by little, I don't know, I was seeing myself, going off the derech, like the first year of high school, I got very tempted. Because, obviously kids there are eating like very delicious foods, like, like burritos and, stuff like that. So it's like, I never tried it. And I was always like tempted. I'm like, wow, this stuff looks really good, So it's like, I know I just one time tried it and I'm like, wow, it's like, I realized my whole life, I was like, keeping kosher. And like you try something for the first time and then wow. So little by little, unfortunately, I was going off track. And obviously for my dad's family, because my grandpa had 8 kids, most of my cousins are not religious except for my mom's side. But most of my cousins that I was close with, my first cousins from my dad's side, they weren't not religious. So I guess they were kind of happy that I was going off track. But, unfortunately, from like age 15, 16, I was going a little bit off track. And before I knew it, I was in my 20s and not keeping kosher anymore, not Shabbat. And then, a lot of bad things started happening to me. So what happened to me was, I think I was around 28 and my sister told me to go see this Kabbalist who comes from Israel. It was the Bial Rebbe. And I went to see him. And right when I sat down, he told me it's about time. He's like, yeah, you tried to uplift and you fall down. You tried to go up and try to fall down. And I don't know, out of nowhere, I just started asking him questions. And it was very weird. Like he knew things about me that any human being could have known. Like he knew things about my past. He knew information about some girl I was talking to. It was very, very, like, I felt like a very spiritual connection. And then like, he told me something that gave me like that almost cry to come back again. So I started actually becoming little by little religious again. I started keeping kosher again, Shabbat, read Tehillim, learn Torah, and a lot of very, very amazing things happened to me. And one thing that I don't know, it might sound weird to people who are not religious, but one morning when I woke up at 5 a.m., I don't know if I was awake or asleep, or I think I was maybe half awake, half asleep. I was staring at my window or my wall, and I see this pure white spirit come in my room with like had like no body, like a female face, like I don't know, like a very holy spirit, and it was on my wall and it left. So I contacted my cousin in yeshiva and I told him what happened to me. And he asked his Rebbe in New York or Baltimore, one of those yeshivas that he's in, and he said, yeah, it could have been the Shekhinah of HaShem. So they told me that maybe because a lot of Kedusha was coming in at one time, God's presence came there. So I started crying and I was like, wow. So I realized I was doing the right thing, So that's my little introduction how. And then about, I think 2-3 years after that, I started going on YouTube, listening to Rabbi Mizrahi, and I saw Rabbi Yaron Reuven, and I'm like, this rabbi looks very, very serious. Like, let me listen to one of his lectures. So I clicked on it. I don't know exactly which lecture it was. And little by little, I really started liking it. And it started helping me grow more and more and more. So actually, one of the lectures that I recall that I think was one of my favorite ones was, it says, the professor who met the rabbi. So I don't know if anyone has watched that, but I think you guys should check it out. Very, very interesting. From what I remember was, I thought, because I'm the type of person, I like to argue and I like to prove people wrong, especially because a lot of my father's workers are Mexican and they're Guatemalan and they're very into, unfortunately, Christianity. And then when they see me with the kippah on at work, they always like to talk about religion. So I started learning a lot of Rabbi Yaron proofs how to prove religion wrong, and Rabbi Tovia Singer. So one thing I like about the story was it proves basically, I guess, funny way of proving evolution wrong. So apparently Rabbi Kamenetsky with his son was on an airplane and he was with a Harvard University professor. And apparently what the story was saying that the Harvard professor's son every 2 seconds would bug his father and tell him Dad, I need a pillow. Dad, I need a cup. So he would call the stewardess and say, stewardess, can you get a pillow for my son? Can you get a cup of water? So every few minutes, the professor's son is nagging him to help Dad. But on the other hand, the professor is examining Rabbi Kamenetsky. He didn't know he was a rabbi. He thought, okay, he was like a regular, ordinary Jew. So he saw the opposite. He saw his son asking, Abba, do you need anything? Do you need a pillow? Do you need water? He's like, no, son, keep learning your Torah. Again, 5 minutes later, Dad, are you okay? You need anything? No, son, keep learning. So the professor got very jealous, very angry. He's like, I have to ask you a question. How is it that I'm a Harvard University professor. I am so educated that I have to serve my son. Every 2 minutes, my son is bugging me to serve him. But you are ordinary Jew, but your son is always asking you every 2 minutes, Dad, do you need this? Dad, do you need that? How did you do that? So he goes, let me ask you a question. Do you believe in evolution? He goes, of course. Yeah, Darwin, we come from monkeys. He goes, that's your problem. You taught your son that you come from a monkey, which means that you are closer to the monkey than your son is. That's why you have to serve your son. I taught my son that I come from Adam and Eve, God's children. So my kid learns that he's inferior to me. I am closer to God than my son is. That's why my son is serving me. If you want to teach your son that you came from a monkey, you have to serve your son. I taught my son that I come from God. I come from Adam Rishon. So my son learned that he is inferior to me, so he's going to serve me. So that's why the story that I liked a lot, that one of the lectures I saw that was very interesting to me.
Like, what was it that I understand, but what was like the impact?
Well, I mean, I don't know if it, like an impact, but I like that story a lot because I like when people prove things wrong, especially a lot of times, unfortunately, a lot of goyim, they always try to make fun of the Torah. They say it's nonsense, but I like it when we have evidence to prove other people wrong. That's what I like. Obviously, there's other videos that I've seen that I think might have been better, but I just like stories like that, or even like Sadik stories, but that are very emotional. But I just like that one a lot for some reason.
Nice. Yeah, it's a very, very good story. So let me recap a little bit. You grew up in a religious or they weren't religious.
I wasn't black hat yeshivish. We went to like modern Orthodox Jewish school, like because I guess in that or maybe in other states it's more like yeshivish, but here there was like you just skip kosher Shabbat, you wouldn't have a black hat. So I just grew up like keeping the standard, like basic kosher, basic Shabbat. But then, like I said earlier, my parents for some reason sent me to public school for 3 years, and that's when I went off track. But then Baruch Hashem came back, and then a lot of Rabbi Yaron Reuven's lectures helped me, grow. I mean, obviously sometimes people fall after like you might for 1 or 2 years, and you fall like for a month or two, but then you come back up. You know what I mean? So overall, mostly going up. Thank God.
Yeah, no, that's what I was asking because keeping Shabbat and all these things, and then to put your son in a non-Jewish school. I just wondering, what happened there?
I would assume because I don't have one other brother and 2 sisters, so I think they took me and my youngest sister to the public school. I think there was an issue with the principal. I'm not sure exactly, but I don't know. But they say that I don't know, very complicated. But yeah, I'm just glad to be back, and obviously, like I've seen a lot of other pretty interesting happen to me, like a lot of like. One story that I also liked was because a lot of my friends from high school that I met, they're Persian, but they're not. They were Persian, but not religious. They're also Jewish like me. One Moshe Shabbat, I think this was a few months after I became religious. We were with my friends. We went for a walk, and my friend parked his car, and his car would not turn on. And yeah, so my friend tried to turn on his car. He tried like 6, 7, 8 times. And my other friend that was in the front seat tried it. And I said, let me try it. So I took the keys in my hand and I said in Hebrew, B'Shem HaShem, Na'aseh v'Nasliach, which means in the name of God, I will do and I will succeed. And the car turned on right away. And like I felt like that spiritual connection. And my friend that wasn't religious at all literally wore a kippah for like a week because of that. So I thought it was very interesting. Yeah.
Wait, you said this was on Shabbat? With this Shabbat. Wow. So Hashem basically wanted to send you guys a little message, like, hey, we're wicked.
I have a lot of stories to say, but I mean, yeah, it's very touching. Yeah, sometimes you see side like you learn Torah, you pick up stuff, and like you just see things like miracles happen in your life, and you're like, And one thing I like about Judaism is just you can prove it scientifically. It's not like other religions where like one person claims something with no witnesses, no evidence. Torah is good because you can always prove it with science. And there's many people who witness God's miracle.
Right, exactly. We have a very strong, Baruch Hashem, a very strong foundation. That was the first lecture that you heard from Rabbi Reuven, or that's the one that...
I honestly do. Maybe it was 5 years ago. It's hard to remember the first one. It could have been one of those Musar, Piker Avot. There's so many. I probably listened to 95% of his lectures, but it's hard to remember which one was the first. But it's funny because, a lot of people in Los Angeles, I always tell them, this is the Rabbi Yaron Reuven, but they're like, I don't know why. They say, yeah, like, this rabbi likes to scare people, but I'm like, it's not about scaring. It's like when you say that I'm at the truth, you need a combination of love and fear. You can't only have only love and only fear. You have to have both. And he does that very well, which I like.
Right.
You have a combination of both. It's like, for example, you want to eat healthy. You can't just say, okay, I'm not gonna eat junk food, but you still need the fruits and vegetables. You know what I mean? So it's the same thing. You need to have love and the fear combination.
Unfortunately, you don't have much of that nowadays.
Yeah, it's very bad. Yeah, yeah. I've been trying to get my cousins religious too, but they're constantly making fun of me. They say I'm getting brainwashed, but I told them, one day when I get the reward in heaven, you don't, then we'll still always be the sad one.
Good response, but very true. Very true. So was there a lecture or anything that did inspire you, really make big changes in your life, or kind of like all of them?
Obviously, like there was always ones like, okay, like for example, like obviously I'm sure for every man, of course, tikkun upbringing is the hardest. So for every man, even if you start keeping kosher Shabbat and you're single, that's always the hardest for every man to keep. So when you watch some of his lectures about that and you see, oh, wow, the consequences and how much it affects your brain. And I also noticed when you start keeping it, you feel better. You sleep better. You feel better. You don't feel as like dizzy. You don't feel as bad. So I feel like some of his lectures about that really helped a lot, I think.
And are you married now?
Single, unfortunately, but yeah. My parents say I'm too picky, so I don't know if that's true or not, but...
Is that a Persian thing?
I know a lot of my sister friends, the girls are very picky, but for the guys, I'm not sure. But I guess, I don't know, maybe I always thought maybe because I was still growing more and more religious. Maybe I'm starting to learn more Torah, a few hours extra a day. So maybe God was waiting for me to make that extra push, maybe to reach higher. So I don't know. Only God knows the answer to that. But yeah, whatever HaShem, whatever God will happen.
So you study Torah every day?
So what I actually do is, before I would only do like, when I first started 7 years ago, I would only do like once or twice a week for like an hour. But then God, thanks to Rabbi Reuven, I would start listening to his lectures every day. And then I started doing with my own rabbi also in LA once a week. But what I do is now I actually have a new schedule. What I do is I wake up in the morning, whether it's like 5 or 6, I pray. I learn on the Parsha. So I actually bought, you probably can't see it, but in my room I have basic Rambam or Achaim, Zera Shimshon, all these books, so I do it on the Parsha in the morning, one book each day in the morning, and then in the afternoon I do Gemara. And obviously if Rabbi Reuven has a lecture, I listen to the lectures obviously also. So I try to make as much time as I can. But my new schedule actually the last few months has been, I used to work 9 to 6, then I started going down 9 to 5. Now the last 2-3 months I do 9 to 3 or 9 to 3:30. So I try to come home and do an extra 2 hours of learning every day.
What do you do?
So I work with my father. We have a wholesale company. We sell candies, chips, medicine, cigars, groceries. So we sell wholesale. We sell to gas stations, markets, hotels, liquor stores.
Yeah, there's actually a few people that have come on the podcast that are in Los Angeles.
Nice.
So you might know. It's a small world. Yes. Did you ever get in contact with the rabbi? Has he ever helped you out personally? And
I always ask him I used to ask him a lot of questions, like personal stuff, and I always tell him like, oh, if my relatives make fun of religion, or what should I answer them? How should I answer back? And he always gives me the very smart, very wise answer, So, but like personally, well, the thing is, Rabbi Reuven said don't call him, so it's hard to contact him, but. Overall, I think he did a very good job. He usually gets back to me pretty fast. If he's like on once in a while, let's say he leaves the country. I know he was in Israel last year, but usually when he's in town, he usually answers back within 24 hours right away. So he helps me like when I have any question about Torah or science with Torah or personal issues. He gives me like the response right away.
And have you been to one of the events or the?
No, I've actually wanted to go. It's for me like I'm always like. I'm always a very nervous person, so I don't like to fly too much. But I was always asking him to come one time to LA to give a lecture. So hopefully he'll come to LA one time. But I've mostly just been helping out, contributing and watching the lectures mostly on YouTube or on my phone or on the Bezrat HaShem app the last like 5-6 years. I think he's one of the best rabbis out there on lecture. Even when I showed my dad's secretary, it's a Persian lady, I know her for like 20 years in my dad's store. I was showing her some of his lectures, and even though she's like kind of conservative, but she was kind of surprised. Oh wow, he's speaking like very well. Like he has a lot of good information. She kind of like gave him a spark too. But she's almost about like 55, 60, so it's hard for her to maybe change right now at this age. But I feel like for her, it's still, I once in a while show her some of his short clip lectures, and she likes them a lot also.
Yeah, a lot of people, unfortunately, they sometimes attack the speaker, saying like, oh yeah, he's too serious, like you're talking before, how you need to have the fear. But you're really not arguing with the speaker, you're really arguing with the Shem and the Torah, because usually they're reading it straight from a book. Unfortunately, you have a lot of these other rabbis that don't really, the whole Care Bear rabbi situation.
I guess it could be that people maybe sometimes, when rabbis become very popular, I guess other rabbis want the popularity also. So they say, no, don't listen to me, listen to me instead. But, I don't know. I guess everyone has their own way, but I still think, like I said, I think it's good. Also, I think it depends on the individual. Some individuals, let's say when they're young, that fear and love might work better than just only love. I know Chabad likes to do like mostly out of love only, which might work, but I don't know for certain individuals if that might be the best way. I think even Rabbi Mizrahi said one time, in the beginning, if you start out without fear, once the person starts loving the Torah, he doesn't need the fear anymore. You know what I mean? Like he knows, I love it so much, I want to keep studying Torah. You introduce the fear, and then once he has that love, the fear won't really be necessary that much anymore.
I was telling somebody else in a different podcast that it's like, even if you do use that tactic with the whole love, it's like, yeah, you can bring them in, but the thing that, they don't stay, they usually 1 foot in, 1 foot out, like their whole life. And without the fear to keep them there and keep them, it's like, you're not going to speed, and down the street where there's a lot of police, because you're afraid you're going to get a ticket. You can't just you can't just speed and get pulled over and be like, listen, officer, I love you, so let me go. Doesn't work though.
No, I mean, I of course 100% what you're saying is true. Like, like for example, like I know one Chabad rabbi next to my house. I have sometimes he goes to public school, waits outside. He knows there's a lot of Jewish kids that go there, so like we'll make the put on tefillin one time, but like that one time out of love. I mean, it's good that he's gonna put on once in his life or twice in life, but that's not enough. You gotta spread it and teach him everything. Like that one time is not gonna make him go to heaven.
Yeah, exactly. What would you say that the hardest challenge was?
Like becoming religious, like, well, I think in the beginning also for me, like obviously, like even when I started keeping kosher Shabbat, obviously it's hard. Like, you just want to use that on kosher food. Even for me, like the first, I don't know if it was the first couple months or a year, I wouldn't wear a kippah at work, even though I started becoming religious. But once I started wearing kippah at work, I heard some of my dad's, Hispanic workers making fun of me. It almost made me cry. It's like that story where Rabbi Akiva was 40 years old and started learning Torah. In the beginning, people were making fun, but then, it's like at the end, look what he became. So it's like, even like sometimes just wearing a kippah in public sometimes can be embarrassing for people, but like, you have to be deep inside proud that you're Jewish, you know what I mean? No matter what, because we have the emet.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard, especially with all the anti-Semitism. You feel it. You feel it.
Yeah, and I heard it's getting only worse and worse. So hopefully Mashiach comes.
Do you guys want to move to Israel?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't think my dad would be too fond of it for some reason. But I mean, he likes to work a lot. But the Persian Jews, you know how they are. So, I don't know. I mean, I think I was only been there once when I was 10 years old. I mean, I never had a chance to go back. I mean, I did have a chance, but I don't know. I know they had those programs called H, those little summer trips they would do for teenagers and stuff and 25-year-old. But birthright, yeah. I just never went on those, but I know they had ones that were like religious and that were also like more like modern or conservative. But my cousins went, my brother went, but I never actually went myself. But I mean, I always make a joke. I'm like, well, we'll go to Israel and Mashiach comes, so just.
Let's see. What do you think about yeshiva? Did you ever go to yeshiva?
I went to I think from preschool through 4th grade, I went to a school called Harkam Hillel Hebrew Academy. That says like a modern Orthodox school, but and then in 5th and 6th grade, I went to a school called Maimonides, and then I went to Shalhevet for 2 years, and then 1 year I went to Netanyahu High School, which isn't really a yeshiva, but it's a Jewish school. And then, like I said, I went to public school, so I never had a chance to go to yeshiva. But I knew how to read Hebrew and and speak a little bit. So when I became a Baal Teshuva again, it wasn't hard. I already knew like what to do. It's like somebody who used to work out and then stopped working out for 10, 20 years. He doesn't need a trainer. He already knows like he's got to eat protein, carbs. He knows how to work out. So it's like I already had that little foundation from the before, so it made it easier.
But do you plan? Would you go, or do you plan on maybe going?
I don't know. No one knows the future, but I mean, it might be a little bit too much. But I like my new schedule now, where you can do work about 5-6 hours and learn also 5-6 hours. Like I feel like too much of either one might not be for me specifically, but Because I feel like this way you can work, you can still make money and give charity, and also learn. If you're only learning, yeah, someone can pay for you, or you could have enough money saved up. But I feel like so you can do both. Like you have enough money to give tzedakah, help orphans, help kiru, and also learn Torah. So you get like the best of both worlds. And like I think for some people, learning Torah for 10, 12 hours a day might be easy if they were like more like that used to it as a kid. But for me or other people, it might be harder. But yeah, I just feel like half and half, it might be the best combination for me, at least. I don't know.
So let me ask you this. Before you started listening to Rabbi Reuven, and then when you started to listen to him, and then from then on, what kind of change, was there any significant change that happened besides the way he speaks and how he delivers and he talks about fear in your life? What like things changed? Did you start becoming more observant? Did you start taking things more seriously? You know, more and more of those things.
So I think obviously I think I was already at the time started Shomer HaBrit, but obviously I might have failed a few times. I'm not sure, but I know because of his videos, I think it made me keep it as long as I could. So it's like I've done it. You know, people have probably been Shomer HaBrit for over a couple of years. So I feel like I think that my record has been because of him. You know. So I think it's very important. So also I think he might have been the one to get me, you know, to learn more Torah, spend more hours learning. I asked him certain books to get. He recommended me a lot of great books. It's funny because I've asked him which books are good to read besides Gemara. He gave me a few books. One called Minhat Yehuda, one called Kaba Yashar, Writings of the Ramban, and I believe the one called Light of Ephraim. But my favorite one was the Minhat Yehuda. And it's funny, when he told me to read that book, I started reading it, and I hear in a lecture in Los Angeles, one Chacham would say, everyone should get that book. And I'm like, wait a minute, Rabbi Reuven told me to get that book. So I'm like, for sure he knows what he's talking about, you know? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's a good book. I only read it once, especially the people that really like the whole, you know, spirits and demons and all that. Speaking about that, did you ever have any more experiences like that one story you told us with that shape thing?
Yeah, so that was something positive I saw. I also saw other things that were a little bit more scary, but I don't know if people want to hear. Like I
tell us. We're very interested.
So, I don't know. I also heard like one time, this is also in the beginning, I think when I was becoming religious, right around that time when I saw that spirit. I was in my room one day and I woke up in the middle of the night, because I usually wake up a lot in the middle of the night, and I hear it from my closet, like, you know, this is like a serious story, no joke. Like I hear like, again, like, but like this sound like, you could tell it was from the dark, so like a very deep spirit sound, like, oh, like that. And I'm like, I look in my room, like, I don't see anything, you know? And I look in my closet and I can hear the voice, but I don't see anything. And I look again, I hear, oh, like that, very loud. And then I got very scared. And I'm like, you know what's going on? And it's funny because my sister, before she got married, she was living in parents' house with me in the other room. She goes, yeah, and the next morning she goes, I heard some things coming from your room. I'm like, yeah, it's great. So I messaged Rabbi Yaron Reuven. I hear these weird spirits. And he goes, oh yeah, it's because you probably stopped keeping I'm sorry. He said he probably started keeping the brit again. So the bad spirits are trying to get you to go back to the way you were. So you have to fight yourself, control yourself. So there's a lot of things, like, you know, I even saw one time, like one time I saw like in the middle, like around 4 or 5 in the morning, I saw like a black spirit like circle my room one time because I had like a negative thought, you know, and I realized like. And I told one rabbi, and he goes, look how much God loves you. He wants you to stop thinking negative. So it's like, I've seen the good and the bad. Like I've seen the Holy Spirits, and I've seen the bad. So I realize, you know, what's right, what's wrong, you know?
And you've obviously, or I don't know, did you ever have any like experiences with like sleep paralysis or anything like that?
No, as a kid, I always grew up, being very anxious, but, one that actually happened a few weeks ago, the rabbi from our shul, he moved to Pico. It's a city in Los Angeles, and he never sold his shul. And one time I woke up around 4 or 5 in the morning, and I don't know if I was 100% awake or sleeping, but I know at one point I was awake. So I heard the rabbi of the shul calling his father, like in my head. And I'm thinking, like, why do I hear that? Doesn't make sense to me. And I hear him say, yeah, I admit, like something about his dad, he missed his dad, or he was trying to ask his dad a question. So I messaged him on WhatsApp a few days later. I'm like, Rabbi, was it like your father's birthday? I know he passed away like 5 years ago. Was it his birthday or something like last week? Because, you know, I heard your voice in my head. He goes, no, I don't think so. But, you know, I miss my dad a lot, and I have to make a very important decision in my life. And I went to his grave. I haven't been to his grave in 6 months. So he goes, yeah, it's very, very weird how you heard that. You must have a very spiritual neshama. So it's very weird. I almost started sobbing, like started crying. I'm like, I don't know how it was possible. I could hear him speaking to his dad. Like, it was very insane. The day that he went there, his grave, and I was in my room, you know, very crazy.
What did it sound like? Just kind of like a voice in your head?
like I said, in the beginning, it's possible I was sleeping at one point, but for sure, at one point, I was awake, and I don't know how I could hear his voice. And then my aunt, who's very religious, was telling me how, the Torah says everyone can become like a Moshe Rabbeinu. So I just started reading Likutei Maharan. So one lady from Israel that I've been helping out told me to get that book. So by Reb Nachman Breslov. So I then started reading that. So I guess maybe there's more Kabbalah, more spirituality coming in my room, my life. So yeah, I think people should start studying Kabbalah. Even one book that I recommend is called Abir Yaakov. Art Scroll has one, very good. Yeah, people can get that to read. It's very, very good. A lot of interesting stuff in there also.
Once you start reading it, it's hard.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You said it. And I actually like to read the most on Shabbat. Like Shabbat's for me, that one reason why I look forward to Shabbat, because they always say the Torah that you learn on Shabbat, I think the Ben Ish Chai said was 1,000 times more rewarding during the week. So I think I recommend everyone at least Friday nights and Saturdays, whether you go to shul or not, at least spend 5 hours, 6 hours on Shabbat reading Torah at least, even if you can't do it during the week, because you're going to see the reward one day coming to you.
What kind of goals do you have like now heading towards the future? Well, what kind of, ideas do you have, future plans, Torah-wise?
Yeah, so obviously I want to keep growing in Torah and mitzvot. I just want to obviously get married soon. And I'm 35 and getting closer to that. We don't want to be 40 and sit still single, So let's hopefully, God willing, try to find a wife. I know Rabbi Reuven tried to send me a few resumes, but obviously the girls also weren't from LA, so I wanted to prefer to be someone from the same state. But yeah, hopefully one day, just keep learning more Torah, learn more mitzvot. Either continue my father's business or at least even if he doesn't sell it, I can just go there half a day and continue learning when I get home. And then just trying to also make people religious, I think, is also very good also. It's not a job, but
so you want to get into Kiryat?
I don't have to do it myself. I can always as I continue supporting it, or if I know relatives I hear about. I also have a lot of relatives in Israel that are not religious, but obviously they're a lot older than me, but I don't know if they would listen to me or listen, but we got to send Rabbi Reuven to them. Yeah.
Yeah. Dealing with family and
oh yeah, dude, I have my grandma. She's like, sometimes people tell me, they're like, what's in this book that you're reading? And I'm like, well, read it yourself and find out. Like they always tell you, like, it's just like, even for me, like a lot of my father's company, I have a lot of Persian, a lot of customers are Persian, but they're Jewish, but they're like not religious. They're totally secular. And they always tell me, what's in this Torah? Like, it's all man-made. And I'm like, listen, I give them the perfect example. I said, this is exactly what I told them, no joke. I said, when I wasn't religious, I would tell my cousin who was in yeshiva, I was like, I used to have all this kosher food, Cheesecake Factory, Mexican food. It was so good. And my cousin goes, ew. And I'm thinking, what do you mean, ew? You never tried it. I'm like, I told my dad's customer the same thing. I said, you never read the Torah. Why do you say ew? First go read it. And then if it's something wrong, you don't understand, then tell me it's ew. You haven't, the same way my cousin never tried the unkosher. He's giving comments. You haven't read the Torah. You don't know what it is. Go learn it, and then go come back to me. Tell me what's wrong about it.
Yeah. A lot of times, also people have like a bad experience. Whether it's from seeing some religious person doing something, and it just totally throws them off. You never really know what someone's story.
Exactly. Yeah, that's why we say we can't judge people. But I will, from what I've seen out from relatives, from friends of friends, my father's uncle's friends, they always just say, just be a good person. But that's not enough. And obviously, they don't realize that. I think that's an excuse because they don't want to keep it. But that's my opinion. But I don't know.
Someone else that's in the process of doing tshuva, what kind of advice would you give that?
My advice would be follow your heart. If your heart is telling you to do it, obviously, which I think it is, you should do it. Even if you have family members like me who tell you you're wasting your time, you're getting brainwashed, don't listen. Because I know in the Torah it says, I think in the Gemara and a lot of places, even if you start learning Torah for the wrong reasons, you will eventually start doing it for the right reasons. So you shouldn't give up. Learn as much as you can. Give your tzedakah. Pray to God and say, show me the emet, show me the truth, and I promise you God will show you the way. It might not be easy all the time or in the beginning, but eventually you'll see the light and everything will come to perfection.
So someone that's in business, how would they deal with something like that? You're telling us you have wholesale, you have restaurants, you seem like a very busy business.
Well, yeah, for me, I'm not like it's my brother's the one mostly running it, has a friend running it. I'm just more like the silent partner. But yeah, like what my brother actually, what I think is very good is like he finds restaurants and he has people, like has a friend. So okay, I'll give you like 40%, 30% or half the restaurant. You run it, I'll put the money. So he doesn't have to worry about running it. So it's like something like that. Like I can, for example, if I want to open with my brother, I can say, me and my brother will put the money, we'll find like a cousin or a friend, go run it, we'll give you 30%, we'll each get 30%, so we don't have to worry about working this. So we can focus on our own main job and learning Torah and don't have to worry about distractions.
So basically, there's no excuse for business people.
Yeah, a lot of problems. What I've noticed, I think it's about the older generation. They like to be on top of their business because like they put somebody else in charge. They feel like they're gonna steal. But actually, I heard this from my grandma, which I think was very interesting. She had a relative who started a dry cleaners, and he was making a lot of money. And he said, you know what? I'm gonna open 5 or 10 more dry cleaners. Let the guy steal $5,000 a month. I'm making $100,000 a month. Who cares? That's enough for me. Like as long as you have the mentality. Okay, even if the guy is going to steal working for me, I'm not there, a little bit of money, but you have peace of mind, free time to do what's right. Let him steal that 2,000, but you're going to have that free time. You have 8 hours. You can learn Torah, do so many things with that time. It's not about, don't always think of that little money that person wants to steal. That's not important,
I always wonder how the dry cleaners, no, not the dry cleaners. Sorry. I was thinking about the washing machine. What is it called?
Yeah, I don't know. My grandma was into that business for many years. I never really understood it, but yeah, I just. But I would say for me, for example, my father's business. We have a wholesale, we have a warehouse. I always tell my dad, I'm like, just have someone pay. You already have a bunch of Hispanic guys working there. You have a Persian guy for 25 years working there. Pay him a little bit more money. You already know them. You trust. You told me you trust them. And hire 2 or 3 new guys that are brand new, teach them some stuff, and don't leave up 3 or 4 hours early and spend more time learning Torah. I think everyone should do that. I don't know why people don't do that. Like, just, I don't know. I don't get it.
It seems like a combination of them not wanting to do it and being influenced by their.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah. Also, I think also, because my sister always says some people don't like change. Like when someone has something working for 50 years, they don't want to risk changing and risk going wrong. So it's a little bit complicated also. Yeah.
Oh yeah. But that's another one of the prophecies. It says at the end of the days that this is how it's going to be. The sons and daughters are going to make their parents, teach you up.
Well, my father already, obviously, like in the beginning when he married my mom, I think he wasn't. He was maybe traditional. My mom was like modern Orthodox. She went to Jewish school. So my father obviously started keeping kosher Shabbat because of my mom, and he still keeps it, thank God. I guess he doesn't have so much time to learn. Like in the morning, he goes to shul. Sometimes he gets back, and once in a while, luckily to go from Harvey. But thank God, at least he grew so much. Out of him and his other 6 brothers and 2 sisters, I think he's the only one that's Orthodox. But I thank God at least he's keeping the basics. I told him even on Shabbat, he wants to. Oh, Dad, he goes, let's go play ping pong. I'm like, Dad, it's Shabbat's spirituality. Look, time for ping pong. Let's go read some Torah.
Yeah, there you go. He wants to play ping pong, and you're telling him no. That's helping somebody do Tshuva.
No, whatever. Like obviously he doesn't watch TV, he doesn't touch his phone. Sometimes he'll read books, we'll go walking. But once in a while I'll feel bad for 5 minutes. But like I told my dad, Shabbat's more like about Torah, mitzvot. God wants a special day for him. Spend time with the family. Yeah, you can also play ping pong on Sunday. I understand. Obviously he's working Monday through Friday, so there's no time to spend time with the kids. But it's hard for him because didn't grow up with like a certain way. It's hard, so I don't blame them.
I want to hear more stories if you have any more stories.
Well, that's the story.
It's interesting story.
Car with my friend. That was in the beginning when I became religious. I think around 2017 or 18. But something similar happened to this right before COVID. I think around 2020 or 20, something like that. My dad's secretary, the Persian lady I was telling you about earlier. Also, one time I went in the front of my dad's parking lot. I don't know, just coincidentally, I went outside and I see she's in her car. And I said, what's wrong? She goes, I'm waiting for AAA. My car doesn't turn on. I don't know. I was just like telling her, you know what? If I turn on your car for you, will you keep something? And then she goes, okay, I won't say Lashon Hara for like 6 weeks. So I did the same thing. I said, B'Shem HaShem, Na'aseh v'Naseh, and her car turned on. And she was telling me, she's like, I went to home. I told my kids the story. My kids started laughing. So it happened again a few years later. So I thought, and I told my friend, I called up my friend right away, the one that happened to like 3-4 years earlier. I told him what happened. He's like, wow, like, and then like, he's like, you should make our Asian friend Jewish because of that. And I'm like, no, it's okay, don't worry, just let him be. But yeah, obviously not every time that stuff is gonna work, but sometimes God, when he sees that you're trying and you're very spiritual and you want to connect to him, sometimes he'll make that little small miracle or push for you to wake up, so I like that also. Yeah, I have to think, I don't know if there's maybe anything more interesting than that, but yeah, those 4 or 5 things I said were pretty intense. So
it seems like pretty much like you said, HaShem might be using you as a vessel.
Yeah, it's funny because when my sister, at one point, she was dating a couple years ago some guy from Morocco. Well, I think was originally from Morocco, and I think he lives in Canada. He came to our house, he spent Shabbat with us, and I was telling him some stuff, and then he started telling my sister, "Oh yeah, your brother, I think he's a hidden Sadik," and I started laughing. I'm like, "What are you talking about? I'm just a regular guy, bro." And it was just funny. I don't know, just like the way he was like, "Oh, it was like some very spiritual person," but I'm like, it's normal, like you and I keep, like most likely will keep kosher, Shabbat, learn Torah. Yeah, obviously I have HaShem's name in my Hebrew name, Netanel, but just I think everyone can reach higher as long as you try. But I think one thing, I don't know if it's even possible for me or anyone to get, but I always wonder, what does Ruach HaKodesh feel like? So I know it's hard, like you have to make sure not to look at anything inappropriate. You gotta learn Torah maybe 14, 15 hours a day. I don't know if I could ever do that, but I always wanted to get that feeling, ask God, what does that feeling of Ruach HaKodesh feel like? So I was wondering, like, if people should try I think one reason to try becoming more religious and learning Torah is see if you can get that feeling, I think might be a very, very interesting, very holy feeling, Imagine you could tell your friend, "Hey, I saw in my vision, you did this sin or you did that." And he's like, "How'd you know?" Like, well, it's a Jewish power, So just, it'll be interesting if someone can get that kind of power one day, like a normal person,
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. In the Mesilat Yesharim, talks about the last chapter. It talks about Ruach HaKodesh.
Yeah, actually, I actually have the book. I kind of skimmed through it like once. Because for me, I like to what I did was I went through obviously Amazon Art School, asked Rabbi Reuven what books. So I ordered like literally hundreds of books. So my plan was, I say you should go one step at a time. So my plan, what I like to do is get them all, the most popular one, read them fast the first time, and then see which ones are the most interesting. And then the second time, read it slow and get to know it better. Because I don't like to wait. Like, I can't wait 5 years and say, what does that book talk about? What does that book say? So I got to get everything, like every Musar book, every Kabbalah book, every Gemara, and read the ones that I like. I find that read it first the first time fast. And then the second time, when I see, oh, wow, this one was more interesting than that one, then the second time, I read it slow, the ones that I like better. That's the way I like to do it.
It talks about, like you said, in the last chapter, how you don't actually have to be one of these people that sit and study and learn 22, 23 hours a day. You can actually be a very simple person. You have a job, you study a little bit here and there, and you can acquire that Ruach HaKodesh, mainly depending on how you behave and how you conduct yourself and certain things that you do. And when I read that, I was very influenced because I was like, come on, there's no way anybody could get Ruach HaKodesh. I'm not claiming I have it or anything like that. But I'm just saying that the influence, is there, and it gives us regular people a chance to maybe acquire it.
Exactly. Yeah.
If you want it, the point is, if you want to acquire it, you can.
Yeah, it might not be easy, it might take time, but I think it's definitely possible. I would just say, you know what? I mean, even if you're a regular person, you just started watching Rabbi Reuven's lectures, or even if you just want to think about becoming religious, I just recommend trying it because, I have some guy in my father's company, atheist guy. He claims he's atheist. I don't know if he is or not, but I always tell him this. I said, if there's nothing, we both lose. But if there's something, I win and you lose. So I don't get what you're losing. Obviously, you can say, oh, I can't watch TV once a week, or I can't eat this. First of all, I don't know where you are, but in Los Angeles, there's so many kosher restaurants, thank God, Baruch Hashem. Yeah, it might not taste exactly as good as maybe something unkosher, but it's pretty close enough, I think. I think once you start learning more Torah and focus on spirituality, you won't care for that desire of food. Like, I used to be love to eat food, like everything. But now I still eat, but I eat less, and I don't have that desire so much really unkosher, thank God. And I think once you start growing spiritually and, learning Torah, you'll realize that those things are not so important. You're going to start learning the love of Torah. And even if sometimes you get challenges in life, which obviously I have a lot of challenges too myself, but it could be good because, I've even heard, I think the Gemara talks about it and a lot of rabbis talk about it, that it's better to suffer here 1 minute, 1 hour in hell is worse than all the suffering here, and all the reward over there is better than even all the reward here. So it's there's nothing here. It's all no matter what you do, I think, I think Rabbi Reuven said this. Let's say you're eating a steak. You put it in your mouth. It takes you 10 seconds to chew it. Then you stop. Then you take 10 seconds again, you chew it. So even if it takes you 45 minutes to eat that steak, but that whole pleasure combination is 2 minutes because it stopped, you're chewing. But then when you die, when you go to heaven, and God shows you the reward and you're connected to God, I think the Gemara Brachot says the Sadikim are sitting with their crowns on their head, getting the pleasant from God's Shekinah. So imagine, I think the example he gave was you're going to be up there, unlimited pleasure. You never get tired of that pleasure. It never stops. It never gets old. But no matter, when you eat a steak, you get full. You can't eat another one tomorrow. It's like, this is a world of lies. It's just like, we're just here to do the best we can and get the reward. So people unfortunately get trapped by these, I guess, all these stupid TV shows and billboards and ads, and they just fall for the trap. And they see a beautiful woman in the street and say, oh, I want my wife to look like that. But that's not going to do anything for you. That's, in 5 years, she's going to get old and she's not going to, but her personality is going to be trash. So you gotta realize, open your eyes and open your head what the emet is, what the truth is, and just grow to keep Torah. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure the prophet say 80% only 80% of Jews are gonna unfortunately pass. Only 20% are gonna survive. So you want to be on that 20%. To see Mashiach, you don't want to be with the other 80 go down the ship. So I mean, just get over your desires. It's not that hard. If I can do it, you can do it. So it's not that hard. I mean, especially even some people that are born religious are having trouble. But for me, who I wasn't always religious, if I can do it, and other people, I'm sure a lot of Rabbi Reuven students are doing it, people can do it. I'm not saying God forbid make a mistake on purpose, but if you make a mistake, don't give up. Don't think, okay, it's too late now, or I already made a mistake. No, that's your Yesahara tricking you. Okay. And actually it's better, because once you fall, God might make something happen so you can grow higher. I think the book of Abir Yaakov, it says that sometimes God gives a person Yishurim so he can uplift them higher and higher. So don't think, okay, I got this punishment, or I made a mistake, now God gave me this feeling more of suffering now. No, he might want you to do more to learn more Torah, to get higher and higher. And then one day will show you that reward, and you're going to be like, wow, this was worth it,
Well, how would you guide that person if he wants to make that change? What would you advise him to start?
Well, I would have to, depends on the certain individual. Like, obviously, like, if he's completely lost, I would just tell him, go on YouTube or whatever, just type in Rabbi Reuven's name and find some of the topics that you like about, and see which there's so many lectures, there's thousands of lectures, Baruch Hashem. So just go on YouTube or even on the app and just see what topics you like and go from there. And then I think one time Rabbi Reuven said you cannot study something that you're not interested in. So find something that you're interested in and focus on that mitzvah, make that mitzvah strong, and the rest will come by itself. The rest will come easily.
You listen to Rabbi Mizrahi?
Yeah, once in a while. I actually started Rabbi Reuven first. I know they both like each other a lot. I know Rabbi Reuven speaks about highly of Rabbi Mizrahi also. So yeah, I mean, if there's a free lecture, like if it's at home, and like it's like 8:00, and I'm like, I just finished my Gemara. I'm like, it was funny because my parents was like, oh, that's enough Torah. Come downstairs, watch. I see my parents watching TV. I'm like, yeah, I want to spend time with obviously my mom, my dad, but sometimes, like, he has very interesting lectures also, so he has a lot of also debates, and he has a lot of things. I saw one lecture with him, Rabbi Mizrahi debating a skeptic. There was a Persian guy, I think from New York, and he was debating, and then he was saying, how do we know there's a God? How do the Torah is from God? And then I see Rabbi Mizrahi just going there, nailing the hammer on his head, like, non-stop bringing evidence. And the Persian guy that was on the other side, I couldn't see his face, but he told his friend who was having doubts, was like, listen, Rabbi Mizrahi got you. I think the point that he got him was he brought the example from the Gemara. He said that when there were something, I think Masechet Rosh Hashanah, they were saying how they wanted witnesses to come to see when the lunar cycle was, and the Gemara says the lunar cycle will never be less than 29 and a half days, 12 hours, and it gives a specific number. And Rabbi Mizrahi said that there's no way any human being can control the moon. So if you're going to write this in a book 3,000 years ago, if they're, for example, they're off by 1 minute, your whole book goes in the trash. And I see the other Persian guy telling him, he got you, bro. Just stop.
It's very hard to fight with the sages and the Gemara. Yeah. They already did all that. They left it set for us.
Yeah. They did all the work. We got
exactly.
Yeah, let's hope more people become inspired and become religious. Hopefully, by that, I think the Rabbi Alon and Abba was saying when the scale tilts higher, let's say when more and more people become religious, one scale gets like this, then boom, the redemption will come like that. So let's hope. I guess my podcast, the rest of the people's podcasts, will make an influence on other people. Hopefully,
absolutely, without a doubt. I mean, that's exactly why we're doing.
Yes,
we're showing people, we're getting different kinds of people, we're giving different examples. You're giving, for example, like the business, busy man, wholesale restaurant, but still raised kind of average. You have another guy that was totally off the deck, didn't know what it was. We bring all these other people so people can relate and people can, not lose any hope. So, we definitely appreciate you taking the time and doing this. We appreciate your participation. It was very interesting. There's little to no doubt that it will help people. Like you said, hopefully it will bring things a little closer to Mashiach, make HaShem happy, and have people return to HaShem.
Yeah. Well, one last thing I think before I go, I know it's good to bring a little bit of comedy. I think so. It's funny, so even in my father's company, like there was, like I said, I think in the beginning, when you were asking me questions, a lot of my dad's Mexican workers would always talk about religion. And even though it's not like 100% evidence, but there's a comedian called, I think his name is Rowan Atkinson, is Mr. Bean. I think he's very popular from England. And he has a whole video about hell. And he makes fun of everybody who goes to hell. And then at the end of his video, he says Christians. And he goes, Christians? And he goes, yes, I'm sorry. I'm afraid the Jews were right. So, like, if you have doubt, you could even learn things from a comedian. Even he's telling people the Jews are right. And they always say, there's an expression that says there's a lot of truth to every joke. So, we can even learn something from a comedian,
If I'm not mistaken, I think I don't remember any source for it, but there's something about, like, you can learn to everything. There's some kind of truth. There's some type of message.
Yeah, I just remember hearing.
I don't know.
There's a lot of truth to every joke, but yeah, I just know, like, yeah. So yeah, hopefully more people become religious, and yeah, let's see what happens.
Amen.
Thank you.
Amen.
Yeah.
Great. Awesome, man. Thank you very much. And if you ever need anything, we're here. You can go to the website, contact us. You have my contact. Let me know if there's anything you need. Anything we can help with, and B'ezrat Hashem will be in touch from here on out.
Amen. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
There's a small member in your body. It shouldn't take over your whole life. If you satiate it, you're never going to have enough.
The Sofer clan, when it gets a hold of something, it does not let go.
Time for us to rectify what we have done.
Normal numbers should be somewhere around 20 million or higher.
You're never going to have control of it. If you start it, and only feed it when it's permissible according to the Torah.
Pornography is as addictive as crack cocaine.
You're always going to be happy, including this world and the next. Baruch Adonai Le'olam, Amen V'Amen.
A very special thank you to all our amazing guests who show real Ahavat Yisrael by taking the time out of their busy schedules and sharing their ups and downs with us, all for the sake of Am Yisrael. May Hashem continue to bless you 1,000-fold. If you enjoyed this video, you can find more of these podcasts on our website at www.bezrathashem.org. If you're on YouTube, be sure to subscribe to the channel to hear more highly influencing lectures and stories like the one you heard here today. Thank you for watching, and B'ezrat Hashem, may we all have the merit to return to Hashem.